And we're back like cook crack. Ain't that what they say? I be
Back
trying
like
to be with the
cook
hip
crack.
shit. I'm back like cook crack. Who that was? Fat
Jewels.
Joe?
Jewels.
Jewels? I thought that was
Well,
Joe.
lean back was Fat Joe.
But,
Lean back.
but they call him cook crack.
Cook crack
Yeah,
is
Look,
crack.
I be knowing about hip hop.
Yeah.
Getting back into the topic at hand, I hope y'all are like taking notes and shit. Like Chuck did say, this is free game.
Free game.
It's like knowledge that's like just out there. You just have to like read, my nigga. Like there's so many
niggas don't be reading. You heard me.
But getting back to how you properly utilize your social media networks, like I talk about that a lot because that's all y'all know. And so if that's what y'all gonna participate in the most, you should actually know how to utilize and benefit. Like Facebook, people be like dogging Facebook out, but if you are in business, if you are a brand, if you are an artist, if you are in entertainment, you should have your Facebook in check. You should have your online presence in check. And
True that.
Q the question will definitely touch points on how, after you get these placements, how you need to put them on your sites and let your fans know where to find them. So without further ado, shout out to Philly, man. Philly holds me down. I fuck with you a lot. Miss Edie Free loves y'all. We have my boy Q the question on the Ignant Truth. How you doing? We are good. You know, tonight the topic is having a strong online presence. And it's not so much of what an online presence is. It's more of the topic of how to, when to, and why to. And I figure you, more than anybody, is like well versed in this, who can give us some easy to follow directions and tips on what artists need to do in particular to make sure they are in check online. Because that's what it's all about now.
It's definitely affordable, to get a silent publicist to get you featured on some of these popular publications.
Right. And so the biggest thing is, I think people have a misconception of what PR and promotion together does, and that you can break the services down. Like, particularly like what you do, you are like the guy for online placement. Like,
right.
You are the guy to do that, and people can particularly seek out you just for that. So how important is that for, like, say, a independent artist from a little bitty town called Austin, Texas, who's trying to get reach out on your side of town?
Exactly. Well, a lot of times, man, artists just got to understand, it's easy to do market research. A lot of times it's sad to say, but at the same time, they got to accept it for what it is. A lot of artists don't read about the business. There are hundreds of books out here, hundreds of articles that basically break down what are the needs of an up-and-coming artist hoping to get signed one day or to have a strong independent movement. And one of the things that they list is, look, you need a publicist. What is the root word of a publicist? The word pub. Somebody that has access to the public, radio, magazines, whatever the case may be. And my specialty, of course, I handle the online side of things, but there are still things artists need to do, but you need an online presence. I tell artists all the time, and I ask most artists that usually approach me when they're interested in me working in records, I say, when your favorite rapper drops a new record, Drake, Big Sean, Wale, Meek Mill, whoever, where do you go to hear that music? They say, Q, I go to I go to these particular websites. Well, why you don't think that you need to be on those same publications? It's the same thing. They have a publicist, even though those artists are on a bigger platform. They have a publicist that represent them to make sure those websites have their records. And a lot of those websites feature independents as well. So you can hire somebody that can get you featured, because it's very important for you to get your music heard. I tell them all the time, Facebook and Twitter is not promo. Yeah, it's good to share with people, share the events what you're doing on social media, but you have to be seen on music publications that people read.
Exactly.
True.
And you can't be choosy. I think a lot of artists have like this small sense of entitlement where, well, I only want to be on like XXL, but you got to crawl before you walk.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. You know, it's funny. It's funny you said that because I actually told an artist that like 3 4 months ago. He approached me like, "Well, I just want to be on these particular sites." I said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! Yes, I have access to all of those sites, but with this campaign, maybe I'll get you a few, a few." I said, "You got to understand." Before you gotta crawl before you walk. You gotta be on this small independent radio show, or you gotta be on this small magazine before you could be on XXL. They just not gonna approach you and say, "Oh yeah, we're just gonna feature you." No, you have to have a build up. So a lot of times they don't understand that. I can't approach an XXL or the source or whoever you're trying to get to when you don't got no previous resume before that. You have to be on 100 small publications, and it all has to build up. And they
Right.
don't understand. A lot of times with these artists, they're too busy chasing the industry. They're not chasing fans. I told this one artist, I say, look,
Quote
even though
that.
this publication is small, you building a relationship with the owner of that publication because it could turn out to be big one day.
Exactly. And so with that being said, how important after getting placed on these sites, like what's the next step for an artist to do once they do get placed on, let's say, 20, 30 sites?
Well, one thing I will say is, even though the record could be placed on a bunch of magazines, it has to be consistent promo. One of the mistakes that they make is this, and I tell artists, learn how to budget aside because they will hire me to work a record online, right? I get it all over the place. Then I might not hear from them again for 5 to 6 months because I ain't gonna say it's a downside to these sites, but you gotta understand how they work. They upload so much music a day,
Mm-hmm.
so your first go around of working with me, even though you're going to get placed, you might get lost in the shuffle because you're a new act. So if they already got the new Meek Mill, like Kendrick Lamar, or J. Cole, Wiley, or whoever, and they see your record, it might get overshadowed. So you have to promote yourself consistently enough, at least a couple times, 3 times throughout the month, or you have to be smart budgeting your money where you need to be on these sites regularly. Let's say through a course of 6 or 7 months when people start to recognize your name because I tell artists, like, you build your online presence, work some singles, then you drop a project on these sites, and then next thing you know, start doing some interviews, start setting up
Right.
exclusive agreements with these sites, and you just build a following from there.
Exactly. And like you said something really, really key to what, like, one of the missing pieces to the puzzle is you have a lot of artists who are chasing the industry instead of chasing fans. And that's what it
Right,
all boils down to. Like
True.
what me and Chuck was saying before you came on is that if you do have people who are seeking deals for whatever reason, it don't have to be a major label. Like you have a bunch of independents who have
right.
small budgets. They are not buying into your music. They are buying into your fanship. Like your reach, your fans, your influence, that's what's getting you signed, quote unquote, these days. And so if you don't continue to work, because like you do a small portion, you get them there. I can't constantly post that you are on this site if you're not doing it.
Exactly, exactly. Yep. Yep, exactly. It has to be a consistent and then understand that, at the end of the day, the whole goal is to be on certain platforms to get seen by somebody with some financial backing if you're already doing it out of pocket and it's hurting your pockets where, you could come up with a couple of dollars, per month, to invest in some online publicity. And the whole goal is to get seen for somebody to actually back you to take you to the next level. But it has to start with you first, especially these days where labels is not even pulling the trigger on nobody unless you know how to. If unless they see you know how to put up your own bread first. If
Right.
you can't do that, you will have a hard time.
True that.
Exactly. So in the world of the digital media and how we mix professional and social all together, if you had to pick one social media site that artists should work in conjunction with their blog placements and their online interviews, which one would you pick?
You said as far as the social media sites.
Yes.
You know what? You can't go wrong. I like Twitter and Facebook, but if I had to choose one, maybe Twitter, because you can meet a lot of people through Twitter. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you can meet plenty of people through Twitter. Like it's insane. Like I mean, radio people, PDs, MDs, up and coming DJs. So that's what I would say because a lot of these sites will let all of their readership know through Twitter that
Mm-hmm.
they're about to drop this particular record at a certain time. They tweet it. So I think Twitter might get the slight edge.
Yeah, I'm partial to Twitter too
I agree too.
because Twitter is a direct contact. Like you can reach anybody at any given moment. Like, cause you never know who's on Twitter until they tweet or you tweet. And
Exactly,
if
exactly.
you're working your project, which you should be working it outside of the United States, because music is global and universal, which you're very well versed in that too. Getting people placed on blogs internationally, and how important is that to artists who may not even have a clue about that?
Well, it's kind of like what Thomas Friedman said in his book that he wrote, "The World Is Flat." How nowadays that you don't even have to actually live in a country to be communicating with somebody from that country. The world is flat. It's just like you could just walk across the world.
Right.
So especially when with hip hop being so big overseas now, it's easy to get records supported in countries like the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Spain, Argentina, Germany, France, and it's very important because at the end of the day, a lot of the hip hop outlets overseas are big fans of the culture, so they down to support a lot of independent acts as well. I tell artists all the time, hey, as long as you want to come up, until you get to a point where you can walk in the club and everybody knows you in the building, you have to take advantage of every opportunity. I don't
Yes.
care if a website only get a few hundred hits a month, all the way up to the ones that get a couple million a month. When you up and coming, hoping to break, you need to get seen everywhere. So the international presence is definitely good as well.
Good, good. I hope you guys are listening because we're professionals. Like this is what we are paid to do day in and day out is to basically teach you guys or do it for you, especially for if you don't make music for fun. Like at the end of the day you do have to have some type of bottom line, and a lot of people don't like to talk about the green elephant in the room, which is money.
Yep.
Like you have to spend money, but you don't have to spend a lot of money. You just have to be
Right.
smart with how you spend money. And both of us, all of us on here are available at y'all service. Shameless plugs. I really feel that if you are serious about your online presence, because if you already on Twitter and you popping, that's what we're talking about. If you're popular already, you interacting with your fans, you have people retweeting you like crazy, like people hang on your every word. Anything that you say is like so funny. You already have a small presence. Like, and if you do music, I really think you need to get into getting your music placed. Like a lot of people think PR is about verbally talking and getting interviews and people asking you, so how do you
Right.
feel? I don't give a fuck how you feel. You want to get your music you want to get your music out to as many people as possible, and the only way that you can do that, you can't have no clear goal in sight. You just need to put it out there as widely as possible, and Q was perfect with doing that. Like just this last week alone, like I saw you say you dropped like on 250 something blogs like in a week. Like how is
Yeah,
that?
exactly. I had a bunch of clients. Chris Vance, B Rain, Curious G, Rob Stashes, and all of those dudes combined. There was a few other people too, just on the tip of my tongue.
Hmm.
But all of those artists combined through a 2 week period, combined over 250 placements, guaranteed.
That's seriously guarantees. Like you
Sweet.
Each of those clients had at least 30 placements apiece, and they
Yeah.
kept that up.
So if anybody's listening to the show, I mean, Q's part of the family too. Like the opportunity that you have coming through the show, you get to work with him. You do. He's not unreachable. He's not untouchable. He
Yeah.
does this he loves music. Like I don't think people realize like why I particularly picked to work with you as far as like teaching artists how to promote themselves because you really love music. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's a
You
difference.
got to have musically inclined people in the industry again. When you look at the Barry Gordy's and the Clives, they were musically inclined, man. I think that the industry lacks people like that these days. So hopefully, I'm in a new class of the musically inclined people that is able to discover dope talent and work these records because that's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Exactly. He's
Yeah.
working
Yeah.
records. We break music on Ignant Truth all the time. I love you, Q. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Tell all of our listeners how they can reach you.
Exactly. Y'all can look me up on Instagram, Q the Question, SKE. And y'all can also look me up on Twitter, Q the Question, Facebook, Q the Question. Big shout out to my SKE Records family. Big shout out to y'all as well for having me on the show. And much love to everybody. And Trial Mac, new single, The Routine, is out right now.
Yeah, yeah. And thank you so much. Wasn't that informative? I
Yeah.
just felt
Yeah.
like I fed my soul just now, getting so much knowledge. Like, please
Bro.
understand, we joke, we play around on this show all day long, but it's all about educating you on what we all love, which is music, this thing we call hip hop. And